Okay, so this is a first of hopefully many soundtrack reviews. This one started with Men at Work. Of course, my channel's going to be, obviously mostly about movies. That's the name of my channel, Movies Your Life. But, obviously when it comes to my love for music, I feel like I got to talk about that as well, just because I like to. But obviously, movies and music kind of go hand in hand a little bit, and the music that's in movies can really make a night or day difference sometimes with how good certain scenes are or how memorable a movie is or something like that. So so those two worlds can combine. Not as much in the past several years, but it used to be very good when you had some just great songs in a movie. Fall Guy from a couple of weeks ago was actually pretty decent with the music choices, with Kisses, I Was Made for Loving You, the way they use that same song and musical cues in the score, and also just different renditions of that song. I thought that was interesting. But so many movies, songs can put me off in scenes if I don't like the choice of music that they're using, or there's barely any songs in movies whatsoever. So sometimes you'll be watching a movie and you might hear one or two songs, and it seems like they're just kind of randomly thrown in. If you hear any like actual musical songs, as far as like something that bands make, but then of course most movies have scores. That's kind of a different discussion as well. Just different types of music doing different things. Now, as far as my favorite scores, scores too, but soundtracks out there, some of the best ones are the ones that musically, someone knew what they were doing. They knew the theme of the movie, whether they were just choosing popular songs of the time that somehow fit the movie, or if they knew ahead of time what genres that they was going to go after. But the best soundtracks are the ones that you can listen to and relive the movie, kind of put you in a mood of kind of like being in the movie almost. You could drive down the road and listen to the soundtrack of Men at Work and feel like you're driving in 1990 because it can just kind of get you in that mindset. But Men at Work. I have the vinyl here, which is a rarity. I think last time I checked, there's like one available copy online. It's like $65, and there was no other copies that I could really find anywhere else. But so I'm not saying for everyone to go out there and rush and buy the vinyl. I would definitely recommend it, but it's going to be a bit out of the price range for, I would think, a lot of people. But the CD is widely available. In fact, I have the CD right here because, the vinyl is always so hard to find. And I didn't get serious about getting it until recently when I was just like, screw it. I want to get the vinyl. So I got the vinyl. It was a bit to get this. I bought it on eBay in February and had all sorts of issues with the shipping. Of course, this record was only released in Germany. That was the only place that it was made. Even has German words on here. But I got it in February. It's supposed to be shipped over here from Germany. Waited like 2 weeks. Tried to notify the person. Didn't get a response back. Got a refund somehow through eBay. And I'm not exactly sure how those refunds work because they didn't ask me any questions whatsoever. I just put in the basic information. I got it. I got the refund right away. But then I had to find another copy of it, and I didn't want to just settle. I didn't want to find some dusty record for $60. But luckily, this one, this is almost in new condition. The record and the cover from 1990 is just excellent. So So the quality of the vinyl I can attest to. If you happen to have a copy of the vinyl, or if you're a dead passion music lover and record collector, and you decide, hey, this is one that slipped through the cracks, let me get it. It's a great sounding record. So yeah, so very quiet vinyl, just everything is about it's great. CD, I would highly recommend the CD. I would not be disappointed that much if all I had was the CD. It's an AAD CD, which means analog digital, which the CD is the digital. It's just the mastering and transfer and the mixing process. A little fact that I learned not too long ago about some CDs, they had these codes on them. So AAD is definitely a nice code to see on a CD. And it sounds good for what it is. It's the bass and the mid-range is nowhere near the record. It's a very open, it's a warm CD. It's not harsh on the ears whatsoever. You can turn the volume up a little bit. So it's great in that regard, but it just does not have the power and the bass, which is important in this CD, as the vinyl does. So you might have to get this and adjust your EQ maybe a little bit. I will do a total movie review of Men at Work, because obviously that's worth talking about in its own review. I don't want to combine what I'm doing here because this is all about the music. But, it takes place in 1990 in Las Playas, California, even though it's, I think, Huntington Beach, but just south of Long Beach, right there on the coast. And first of all, the movie's great because everything is real. There's no, it's a simple comedy, a low-budget comedy from 1990, but everything seems like it was filmed on location. I'm sure like the apartments were probably sets, but I'm not too sure how many sets were used in this movie. But because it all feels very lived in and very real. There's so many things in the backgrounds of in all the scenes, whether it be food items or just trinkets or just random things. It's a very layered, lived in feeling movie. And I can talk more about that subject in the movie review itself, but that lived in world is a very reggae, kind of just upbeat, kind of musical. I'll talk about some of the songs on here being almost score-like songs because they're not very vocal heavy, but they're more about just different sounds. But yeah, starting with we got 12 songs on the soundtrack. 6 of them are pretty much straight up reggae songs. You have the first track, Wear You to the Ball by UB40. A very, very fun track. There's a couple of tracks on here by Sly and Robbie. Super Cool and Here and Beyond, which is their reggae, but with more of a dub beat to them. Very memorable in the movie. On side 1, you have Black Uhuru, Take Heed. I think my favorite song on the album. Great reggae song, just completely memorable in the movie. A couple more gems on the on side 2. You have Third World's Reggae Ambassador and Ziggy Marley, Give It a Little Love. And some of these songs, I don't know where you can find the songs other than this soundtrack or just online, like YouTube or something like that. But some of these songs are very, very hard to find as far as finding sources for them. And some of them, if you want a lossless source, I think you have to buy the CD on some of these, on a couple of these tracks at least 3 or 4. Yeah, so you have those 6 reggae songs. They all just great late 80s, 1990 time frame reggae. Bob Marley is in my top 10 easily, but I really like a lot of reggae, and a lot of reggae has that particular, the definition of reggae sound, kind of like the Bob Marley sound, if you will, just about. Not to step on anything that became before him, but these reggae songs, they have a totally different feel. They have this upbeat early 90s feel. The 90s were kind of like a time, like it was kind of like almost the freest people have been, almost kind of, as far as being free from being free as far as freedoms go, but also cutting away from the government control. If you lived in the 90s, or if you, I guess, read it, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just a very, I mean, I was just a kid, but it was a very kind of wacky time. I don't know, but these reggae songs really fit that time period as far as that sound goes. Now, the other 6 tracks are mostly just kind of beat songs. You have Tyrants in Therapy, Big Pink House. It's a very dubstep kind of song, but it's not really. Pressure Drop, Feeling Good. A couple tracks by Blood Brothers. I mean, yeah, these are very lesser known tracks and from artists out there, but they fit so they're okay by themselves. I mean, they're good tracks, but within the context of the movie, they just give you this, men at work feeling to them. But yeah, you got those. Then you have actually the 2 last tracks on the album is by Stuart Copeland, drummer from The Police, and these are a couple of the tracks that he made as far as the score goes. There's also a few songs that's in the movie that's not on the soundtrack. You have Technotronic, their song "Pump Up the Jam." That song's all over the place in the 90s, so you could get that song. I mean, that's easy to get. And then the 2 Live Crew, Move Something was the name of the other song. Kind of memorable, definitely, in the movie. And that one I've not really looked into. I don't know. I just never got around to listening to that outside the movie mostly. But yeah, other than a couple pieces of music here and there's a scene where 2 of the hitmen in the movie they're messing around with the radio, and there's a song I've always kind of wondered what it was. But pretty much what you get on the record is what you get in the movie. So that's it. You can listen to this, like I said, on YouTube easily. Sound is, you're going to get what you get. I would highly recommend getting the CD, though. A really good sound. You can find it for a really cheap price out there, of course. And if you are a record collector, if you like the movie as much as I do, if you listen to it and decide, whatever the case is, if you want to look for a copy of this for $50 or $60 or so online, this is very, very good. I kind of like, not a holy grail, because I mean, I bought 2 copies and one failed to send to me within the past couple months, but just something I've always thought about owning in the best quality that I could, and I didn't realize that there was a vinyl copy out there until I came around to figuring it out. But let me know if this has been a soundtrack that you've kind of always heard because it was so good and you've seen the movie before, or if you've never even heard of this or these bands, or you think it might be something that you could be maybe seeking out. Go listen to it. I thought about forever how I could talk about a soundtrack like this and review it. I mean, obviously, I would like to show scenes in the movie and point out the music more in depth. Maybe record the vinyl and play the vinyl and put it over the movie. There's all sorts of things I could do, but I don't like playing in that territory of copyright and all that stuff. I don't even know what I could sort of get away with. I don't know. But as far as a soundtrack on its own, I got to give this a 9 out of 10. It's not the most perfect thing out there, because there are some songs that like the Tyrants in Therapy, the Blood Brothers, Pressure Drop. Those are kind of like, they're okay. I wouldn't venture out and buy the albums that those respective songs are on. I would with the UB40, the Black Uhuru, Third World, and the Ziggy Marley, and even the Sly and Robbie, which that Sly and Robbie album has 2 songs on their album, and both songs are on this soundtrack, so you'd be knocking out 2 on one album purchase. Yeah, so I would buy those respective albums, and I even have 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, those other artists, the songs are not something I would listen to that often just by themselves, but on the actual album themselves, on this compilation, they're totally great. So so take that as you will. And of course, these 2 Stuart Copeland tracks, which run less than 4.5 minutes together, they're fun. You know, they feel like the movie, of course, themselves. So let me know in the comments below, and if there's any other soundtracks out there that you would like for me to review, definitely let me know below. I own several soundtracks. I will be getting to my all-time favorites. This is definitely I would probably say my top 10 of soundtracks. Not exactly as far as the quality of the music goes, but just nostalgia purposes, this is probably in my top 10. But there's some other ones out there that are in my top 10 that I think the soundtracks are just incredible. But yeah, this whole as a set, 9 out of 10, and comes highly recommended. Let me know below, and we'll see what soundtrack I talk about next. Maybe it's Pulp Fiction, maybe it's The Jackal. We'll see.